Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Future Ready Freight. I'm Scott Ausland, CEO of Mariner, and today I have my good friend Ken Apple on the show today. So, Ken, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We are going to talk a little bit about the area of generative AI and how it is impacting the logistics industry. But before we do that, Ken, tell the audience a little bit about your background and how you got to here.
Sure. I've been in the machine learning and AI space now for 10 years, anywhere from pricing to actually logistics at a few other shops. And what brought me here was an exciting project to apply AI to the logistics space.
Awesome. Awesome. I know there's a lot going on in this space, just around generative AI in general. I think for the audience, let's start by talking about how you would define generative AI, what it is, and then maybe we could drill down from there into some specific applications. You want to start with that?
Sure. So generative AI technologically isn't anything particularly novel. It's technology that's been around for a long time, but what's really happened in the last 18 months to 2 years is groups like OpenAI focusing those kinds of technologies to create content that's a little bit more interactive with how humans talk and speak and interact with the worlds around them. So you see applications of pictures being generated that humans comprehend very well, or conversational speech that humans understand and it speaks how they would speak. So it makes it a little bit more real or realistic based on where it's historically been. But the underpinnings are pretty old tech.
Got it. Okay, so it's been around for a while, but we're starting to see it look and feel more natural to us as humans.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and this new evolution of where we're at today.
Got it. So when you think about the logistics industry and adopting this kind of technology, what do you see from I would say, a theme standpoint?
There's a lot of fear. I think a lot of people are afraid that the AI is coming for them. It's been out now for 2 years since it's made a headline. I don't know if anybody's been laid off because of AI. But that still tends to be a mantra or an attitude that I hear pervasive. But it stands to be really, really beneficial to a lot of people. I think that there's things that people in the logistics industry care about a lot. If you're a carrier, you want accurate information. If you're a shipper, you want up-to-date updates on your loads. And it's stuff that just creates a lot of busy work for humans to achieve. And AI stands to accomplish some of this without less human involvement on just busy work. And it poses itself as a great tool for people in the logistics industry to use.
Yeah, interesting. I think a lot of people have talked about this concept. I'd love to get your opinion on this, that AI is not going to take away anyone's jobs, but if you're not using AI as a person, you're not going to be as competitive in your job. Do you see it that way in that sense?
I think that AI is going to find its place in an industry whether you like it or not. I don't know that it makes a lot of sense to try to fight against it because, the applications of the technology that we're seeing starting to surface doesn't really care what you think about it. As a matter of fact, a well-applied AI, you wouldn't even know that you're talking to a human being or talking to an AI. You'd think that you were talking to a human being. So only in places where I think AI is applied poorly, I think that's worth resisting. And if you kind of look back at like when iPhone launched, there was an app for that. That was like a phrase that everybody used, and everybody was scrambling to build apps. A lot of those apps didn't make sense, and a lot of people started fighting that. I don't want another app on my phone, and we've evolved to a place now where there's certain things that make sense as an app and certain things that don't, and we've kind of put away some of the silly apps. And I think that's just the normal progress of new tech in a sense. So I think when we see people resist some of that, it reminds me of the app for that craze, and I think that's actually well-deserved.
Got it. When you think about hype, a lot of people say, hey, AI is either going to completely transform the world and we're not going to recognize it, or it's a fad and it's going away. I think probably most of us believe the truth is somewhere in the middle, But when you think about the perspective of how important AI is or isn't, especially to the logistics industry, what is your view on that?
AI will be one of the most important technologies that has hit the logistics industry in the last decade. We're seeing a lot of, when I think about hype, I see a lot of logistics companies scrambling to implement AI quickly, and it just feels odd. It feels misplaced in a lot of these early implementations. Our goal is to be really thoughtful about the application of AI, because I think that's going to be the strategy that succeeds in this marketplace. 10 years, when it's well adopted, AI will find a niche in the logistics industry where our interaction with those AI bots is seamless. You wouldn't even know that you're talking to a robot, and you wouldn't really care. It actually just helped you do your job. You got more accurate information than you had before, and it was overall just a very helpful system.
Got it. That's the future you see.
That's the future that's coming.
Yeah, yeah. So when you think a little bit about Project Apollo, Mariner has a contract with Project Apollo, and you and your team have been working on workflow automation that makes our operations more efficient. Maybe talk to me and the audience a little bit about how you've leveraged AI to do that more effectively and what that result's been.
Yeah, we'll focus in on like tendering shipments to carriers. So today, without AI, that would be a process that takes humans some time and effort to achieve. Depending on how many carriers are available in the marketplace at any given time, that job is easier or harder. But overall, right now, just requires humans to work. You're either sending an email or making phone calls or relying on your relationships. What Project Apollo is doing to leverage AI is our attitude is we're not there to replace any sort of relationship that a broker would need to have with a carrier. Those are still actually the most important elements of the brokerage industry. What we're trying to do is augment what normally takes a carrier salesperson a lot of just extra time and effort to do, and take that off their plate. So when we are trying to tender freight to a carrier, we have AI systems that will go out and contact carriers. Hey, do you want to load? We recently ran a test where we produced 2 ways of a carrier interacting with Project Apollo to accept a load. One of them was just the traditional, hey, hit this button. Do you accept or decline the load? Through an automated system. Or another one where the emails were a lot more conversational. And the conversational emails where they're actually interacting with an AI was 140% more successful than a carrier hitting the button.
Wow.
Carriers, whether they knew it or not, you might talk to the same individual and be like, do you like AI? They're like, I don't know how I feel about that. They actually did. They actually interacted with it way more and got way better accept rates through AI than through the traditional way of interacting with email.
That's fascinating. That's really interesting. So when you think about maybe the jump to voice, a lot of people are talking about voice-based AI. We, as an industry in logistics, do a tremendous amount over the phone. How do you see that world unfolding, and is there any perspective you have on what that might look like in the near-term future?
As of today, ChatGPT 4.0, it just came out like just a few days ago, and right now the results are really promising. We had actually been looking at this voice technology now for a few months and played with some early implementations of it. So, I think that voice technology is going to be something that's coming. I think it's really important that we have a respect to honesty with carriers about what we're doing. We don't want to try to trick them, and I think it would be very offensive to try to reach out to carriers and trick them into thinking they're talking to a human, they're actually talking to a robot the whole time. However, what carriers do care about is accurate information. They care about knowing all the details of a load. So if an AI can use voice to make sure that carriers have all the right up-to-date things about what they're trying to do, then it could be really useful. We just need to be really transparent about what we're trying to do. And I think that's going to be really critical for that kind of technology to be well adopted.
Makes sense. That's really interesting. And then I know you are also doing some work, I think, on the email side, where you're in particular parsing email and then even replying with some quotes back to customers. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
You know, it's funny. C.H. Robinson recently announced that they are rolling out a new email quoting system where they're able to dynamically quote loads. We've had that technology for quite a while. We've been quoting emails, quoting loads through email now for quite some time, and most people didn't know it was a robot doing it. Mm-hmm. So the technology is there. We have that system in place today. You can send partial information and AI will kind of figure out what you're missing or what it needs to know about before it can actually give an accurate quote. And once you've kind of conversationally worked through and given everything that's required to that email address, it'll respond and say, yeah, here's a quote. And it's an accurate market rate that's up to date with where you are right in that day and where the pickup time is.
Ken, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was really great. If anyone wants to learn more about Project Apollo, where would they go for that?
They'd either reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, love to chat about all these different kinds of AI applications and what it can mean for your business, or they can go to our website, www.projectapollo.com.
Awesome. Again, I'm CEO of Mariner, and this was another episode of Future Ready Freight. Thanks for listening.